Chapter 4 Part 2. The cove was a clenched fist of rock and rain. Inside the salty dog's cramped cabin, the air hung thick with the smell of antiseptic, diesel, damp wool, and the sweet, cloying scent of Robert's calming tea, a fragile veil over the tension thrumming beneath. Anthony lay rigid on a narrow bunk, stripped to the waist, his left arm a landscape of ruin. Russo worked with surprising gentleness, his thick fingers deft as he applied thick layers of sylvadine cream to the worst of the thermite burn, the angry, weeping flesh from shoulder to elbow. Below the elbow, the skin was a mass of blisters, some already weeping clear fluid. Anthony's jaw was clenched, a sheen of sweat on his ashen skin despite the cabin's chill. He didn't make a sound, but every muscle trembled with the effort of containing the agony. Deep, Russo muttered, his voice low. Second degree, borderline third in spots. Grafts likely. Infection's the enemy now. He carefully wrapped the arm in sterile gauze, securing it with practiced efficiency. Got some old morphine syrettes. Gulf War vintage. Expired but potent. Take the edge off. Anthony shook his head, a sharp, pained movement. No. Need a clear head. His blue eyes, fever-bright, locked onto Angela, who sat beside her mother's bunk. Dose 0. Status. Angela held the waterproof bag on her lap, her fingers tracing its outline. Inside, the vial of iridescent blue liquid seemed to pulse against the fabric. Still here. Still waiting. Lena stirred on her bunk. Her eyes opened, clearer than before, but filled with a new, profound dread. Angie, she whispered, her voice thin. The waves, they're back. Louder. And the roses. Roses, Mom. Angela leaned closer, taking her mother's cold hand. Lena's gaze fixed on a point on the damp cabin ceiling. Red roses. Growing on the walls. But they're bleeding, Angie. Thick, dark blood dripping down the petals onto the floor. A tremor ran through her. It's not a nice smell. Like copper and salt. She squeezed Angela's hand with surprising strength. The static is screaming. Make it stop. Please. Bleeding roses. Robert's note. Only if the whispers become screams. The screams had become visions. The threshold was crossed. As if summoned by Lena's terror, the laptop on the small galley table chimed. A secure, encrypted alert from Magpie. Magpie. Yem counterstrike executed. All Mitchell assets frozen. Bank accounts seized. Medical insurance terminated effective immediately. Northwest Oncology notified. Lena Mitchell's treatment protocol suspended. No further chemo. No pain management. No access. Financial chokehold complete. Dose 0 is now her only avenue. Magpie out. Angela felt the news like a physical blow. Eleanor wasn't just fighting narratives, she was waging total war. Cutting off Lena's conventional treatment, her pain relief, her very means of survival, forcing the desperate gamble of Dose 0. It was psychological warfare, designed to break Angela, to make her hesitate at the crucial moment. Russo slammed a fist onto the small galley counter, rattling mugs. That ice-cold witch. Strangling her own hostages. Anthony pushed himself up on his good elbow, wincing. Classic Eleanor. Force the choice. Then blame you for the consequences. He looked at Lena, her eyes wide with the horror of her bleeding roses, then at Angela, holding the bag containing salvation or damnation. It's time, Angela. She's backed you into the corner she wanted. Only way out is through. Angela's gaze moved from her mother's terrified face to the waterproof bag. The weight of Robert's warning warred with the suffocating pressure of Eleanor's cruelty and Lena's unraveling mind. The toxin's cure is its catalyst. The static was screaming the path. There was no other road. Okay, Angela whispered, the word tasting like ashes. Okay. She opened the bag. The cabin seemed to hold its breath. She lifted out the heavy metal chest. Unlocked it. The vial of Dose 0 glowed with an eerie, internal blue light, casting shifting patterns on the damp cabin walls. Beside it lay the syringe filled with clear buffer fluid and Robert's brittle notebook detailing the terrifyingly simple, irreversible procedure. Angela's hands shook as she read the steps aloud, her voice barely audible over the drumming rain on the deck above. Draw 1 milliliter buffer fluid into syringe. The syringe was pre-filled with exactly 5 milliliters. She carefully expelled 4 milliliters into a sterile gauze pad. Draw 0.5 milliliters dose 0 catalyst into syringe. Swirl gently to mix. Solution should luminesce faintly white. Administer intramuscularly. Deltoid preferred. Immediate physiological response expected. Monitor closely. The mixing was an act of terrifying alchemy. As the glowing blue liquid entered the syringe and mingled with the clear buffer, it didn't just dilute, it transformed. The intense blue faded, replaced by a soft, pearlescent white light that pulsed gently within the glass barrel. It was beautiful and profoundly unnerving. Lena watched, her breath shallow, her eyes fixed on the softly glowing syringe. Is that it? The quiet. I hope so, Mom, Angela whispered, her throat tight. I really hope so. She prepped an alcohol swab on Lena's upper arm. The skin was thin, bruised from months of IVs. Lena flinched at the cold touch but didn't pull away. Her eyes met Angela's, filled with absolute, terrifying trust. Ready? Angela asked, the syringe poised. Lena nodded, closing her eyes. Do it, sweetheart. Make the roses stop. Angela took a deep breath, steadying her hand. She inserted the needle, depressed the plunger slowly, steadily, injecting the softly glowing white liquid into her mother's muscle. The effect was instantaneous. Lena gasped, her back arching slightly off the bunk. Her eyes flew open, wide and unseeing, fixed on the ceiling where only she saw the bleeding roses. A tremor, violent and uncontrolled, racked her body. Then stillness. Profound, unnatural stillness. Her breathing stopped. Mom? Angela dropped the syringe, grabbing Lena's shoulders. Mom, breathe. Breathe. Panic detonated in the cabin. Megan cried out. Russo lunged forward. Anthony tried to rise from his bunk, collapsing back with a grunt of pain. Lena Mitchell lay utterly still, her eyes wide and vacant, staring into the abyss of her own mind. The dose 0, the catalyst born of poison and bleeding stone, flowed through her veins. The static had stopped screaming. It had fallen utterly, terrifyingly silent.